Sunny the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze out of the south-southwest around 10 miles per hour and temps near 88. Tonight we will have likely thunderstorms and mostly clear skies and be quite warm at 81. Likely thunderstorms tomorrow and a high 86. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore portable building dealer, Panama City.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Hi folks, I'm Tracy at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Santa called and he asked me to help everyone get ready for Christmas and avoid the stress and rush. So we've stocked the store and slashed the prices. All diamond jewelry 30 to 50% off this month. All diamond rings, pendants, earrings, bracelets, and necklaces. And we are offering free 6 months layaway. Tracy's Fine Jewelry takes the stress out of the holidays. So shop now where Santa shops during our Christmas and July sale at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control. They take pride in caring for their customers' property by providing lawn and whole house pest control. Whether you have roaches or any other unwanted bugs in your home, Turf Pro has you covered. Or if your lawn needs weed control, fertilize, insect control, Turf Pro has you covered by providing custom treatments to meet your property's needs. No property is the same, so why should it be treated that way? Turf Pro, where the blue and yellow trucks make your lawn green. Call 850-890-5820.
104.3 ESPN Panama City.
If you want to advertise with our show, that number is 640-0656. Give us a call.
I tell everybody, that, especially people that own a business, this is without a doubt in 10 years the best bang for our buck we've ever spent. We don't have a lot of capital to throw around back and forth at advertising, so we've always just been word of mouth for a lot of what we've done, and this was kind of a step out of the box for us, and this has been a great benefit for us. People listen to sports, man. It's a no-brainer.
Lynn Haven, W Field, Q Port St. John. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. Get ready.
Deep center field and heading for the horizon.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
Onion pickles, onions pickles.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Way back and gone.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
What is going on? Don't get caught by the crowd strike. Hopefully all of your checks have been deposited. You are now in the doghouse with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and the Bone Crusher. We've got a crushing show lined up for you guys this afternoon. Sam Peebles is going to join us here in the next segment. We'll be talking some Braves, kicking off the second half of the season tonight. I'm interested to hear what Sam Peebles' grade. I'm going to ask him for a letter grade for the Atlanta Braves in the first half. I'm interested in hearing what Sam has got lined up for us there, and a myriad of other questions pertaining to the second half.
I would say incomplete would be my assertion of the Braves.
I like that, assertion.
Just because of all the injuries and whatnot. So, well, we'll see what he's got to say.
I think incomplete it's fair to put it that way. I would also be somewhere in between a C- and a C.
Yeah.
Because Here's the thing is it's the expectations. Had the expectations been for the season that, all right, making the playoffs is what we want, then you're getting a B plus, A minus out of the first half of the season, right?
So far.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. But when it's World Series or bust, when you have that great roster, now, should there be some fluctuation in the grade when you do have some of those big injuries, which leads you to your incomplete? But when you lose your top pitcher in the rotation, or expected to be top pitcher in your rotation, and Spencer Strider, when you lose your best player on the offensive side, and quite possibly, you can make the argument for we've got a great infield, but maybe your best glove in the outfield, and Ronald Acuna Jr. sometimes makes boneheaded plays, but still just the athletics. No, I got to give it to Michael Harris, who's also been injured as of late.
Also a threat on the base pads, too, for Acuna.
Oh, I mean, no doubt about that. We're going to see what the future holds for Ronald Acuna Jr. when he comes back from his second ACL surgery, which will not be this year. But yes, very interested in hearing what the letter grade from old Sam Peebles, creator of the Braves Dugout podcast, is going to have for us this afternoon. Then Johnny Carter III is going to join us again. He's a fighter out of Birmingham, Alabama. He had a fight about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but we're going to have him back in the studio. He was traveling down anyways, and I'm going to say this. He's my favorite fighter. Now, obviously not my favorite UFC fighter because he hasn't made it there yet being the operative word, but just his mindset, the training regimens, everything that he brings to the table. I am rooting for him to get to the UFC, and I might even go as far as to say, Caveman Rick, I will buy the pay-per-view. Actually, you know what I'd rather do is just shoot Johnny some money.
I would too. That's why I would do it. Like, cause I mean, if you're doing the pay-per-view, the money's going to somebody else, right?
Dana.
Yeah. So, we want to help out the athlete as much as possible. Great dude. We've had him in here before, like you've said. Great attitude, great work ethic, great human being. So stay tuned. You guys should hear some cool stories and learn a lot.
Yes, sir. Man, looking forward to that. We had Rick Ty on the Inside Drive today, which if you're looking at me on Facebook right now, you might be seeing, what in the world is he doing with a navy blue and red hat and a black shirt? Because normally I try to keep it a little color coordinated, but Rick Ty's got a band, Seminole Wind. If you did listen to the Inside Drive today, he was bringing us in with the old guitar this afternoon. And, man, he had one song called A Sunshine State of Mind. And that one was so catchy. He only sang one hook of it, one chorus. And by the time that he got back to saying Sunshine State of Mind, I was already singing along with him. So, right on. Great stuff. Thankful for Rick Ty coming in. Brought us some good old chicken minis this morning as well. And that was great for the gullet. So shout out to Rick Ty and representing Seminole Wind this afternoon.
Let me ask you a question about Rick Ty. He's actually listening to. Yo, what's up, Rick Ty? You guys had mentioned an event that happened over at, was it Fulton County Stadium back in like 72 about people getting married?
Talk about that,
and I was going to ask if you guys asked if he was one of those couples, him and his wife, that got married during that game, or
I think he was just present. I think he was just present for that game.
He was in the stands at that game.
But and I was pretty tuned into the show today. I wasn't doing very much show prep just because I was so interested in what was going on. I don't think that we brought that up, and Rick will clear that up for us. If he can't clear it up for us, he'll just ask Lucinda.
Yeah, or hey, if you got a cool story, Rick, and you guys were on the field and you guys did get married and still together, definitely call in and tell us. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Appreciate you guys listening and riding along here with the Afternoon Underdogs. Excited for the Atlanta Braves to be right back here tonight. Coverage starting at 6 o'clock. So no Paul Feinbaum. We guys got you kind of used to Paul Feinbaum coming back on after the Afternoon Underdogs, but it's back to baseball and just in a little bit longer, August 31st to be exact, Auburn football. The Auburn Tigers is going to be taking over every single game, starting with Alabama A&M and ending with the Alabama. Sam Peebles chiming in on Facebook. We put a post up. I would assume it was Bone Crusher putting the post up. Could have been Randy, but it was Bone Crusher. Just kind of explaining we are the affiliate of the Auburn Tigers. And Sam Peebles like, I really hope that David was the one who had to type this up. And hey, I think I do a pretty fair job of shouting out Auburn and just kind of keeping it, fair down the lines with them. Of course, you got the Coach James Hale Show with the Alabama update every single segment, but they sneak one in. Reminder, though, he does have a funeral to attend on Monday afternoon or Monday morning, so we'll have national programming on for Coach James Hale's show this coming Monday. The Inside Drive will be live, and the Afternoon Underdogs also will be live this coming Monday at 4 p.m. I'm actually going to be out of the Inside Drive on Tuesday morning, though. Sad news. Not a family friend, a friend from back in the day in church passed away. Probably a year or two older than me, so I'm going to go to his funeral and kind of see some families that I haven't seen in a long time. Very sad news there. Thoughts and prayers with the family. I don't know if they want any information divulged. I haven't seen a lot about it on Facebook, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that particular instance.
Hey, speaking of keeping our mouth shut, we got a comment in from David Colan, I believe, liking us because we don't talk politics on our show.
Well, that's if I ever do talk anything politics, it's just making fun of both sides because that's what I enjoy to do. But at the end of the day, hey, neither here nor there. Let's keep it locked into sports. If you guys got any topics you want to talk about, of course, you can always call in or text 850-215-6290. Also, here's the thing with fantasy football, guys. Sending me a personal text is not going to go a very long way telling me that you're in or anything. Everything that I use to keep myself organized, I get so many daggum text messages in a day between just regular messages from people, between group text and all of that stuff, that if I tried to bounce back and forth between my phone and what we've got in this texting system, I would be a madman. So in order for you to play fantasy football with ESPN Northwest Florida, we're holding the draft at PCB Hobby. That's going to be August 25th, which is a Sunday at 6:30 p.m. In order for you to play in that league, you've got to text your name and your email to 850-215-6290. If the only way that you can get beyond that or get in without that is by winning your way into the Champions League. If you're in the Champions League, then boom, you're in. If you're not, then I've got to have your name and your email on 850-215-6290. I've just been getting a few texts from other people, and it's like, man, look, I'm not going to be able to remember this stuff. I know that for a fact because this is not my first, nor second, nor third rodeo doing this. We've been doing this since 2018, I believe. Started out with just one league, and we've grown to this where we've got a Champions League of 16 teams and then 3 other leagues. If you've never done a live fantasy draft, I love to meet our listeners that I haven't been able to meet in person. This is a great opportunity. August 25th, 6:30 p.m. right there at PCB Hobby. Caveman Rick, what's your hopes for the Philadelphia Phillies in the second half of the season?
Well, we kind of talked about this a little bit the other day. My hopes are that we keep it rolling, man. We've got to keep the health, status quo, everybody on board. We've had a little bit of the injury woes earlier, but hey, we're back now. Everybody's pretty much playing that needs to be playing. As long as we can keep the bats going hot, keep those pitching arms that we got healthy, I think we're in great shape. I don't think we need to do anything at the trade deadline, anything drastic. Like I said earlier, maybe just like a middle reliever type person, somebody that can add a little depth. Outside of that, I'm stoked. I just hope that, like I've always said this season, I want us to be playing meaningful baseball come late July and into September. And if we can do that and keep it pretty consistent, I think we'll be doing pretty good. Also, too, about that All-Star game, something I saw the other day, we didn't mention. So, yeah, AL is 10-1 in the last 11 All-Star games. That. Yeah, we did mention that.
Okay.
But the only one win that happened a couple years ago was when my boy Philly Rob Thompson was coaching.
Hey,
so there you go. So he had the Philly coach and we won.
He came by that by being named the interim coach and then going on a great run there with the Philadelphia Phillies, making it all the way to the World Series. Last year, you guys got to the NLCS. That's another question I want to ask Sam Peebles here in the next segment is, who's a team that had a hot first half, but looks like maybe the numbers show they're going to cool off in the second half? And then also on the opposite side of that spectrum, who's a team that wasn't so hot in the first half that might have an Arizona Diamondbacks type run in them? So, Ryan Mulvey, host of the Inside Drive, texting in, Wedlock and Headlocks was the event that you were talking about from the Atlanta Braves.
That's
and
right.
They talked about it before the show. He wasn't one of the couples. He was only 14 at that point in time. So thank you, Ryan, for texting that in. Shout out to Team Dynasty last night, getting the win 40-6, I believe was the final score last night. Great run there from, I believe we played the Dragons. I always get the names of two teams confused there, Dragons and Hurricanes. But yeah, it was the Dragons last night. Shout out to the squad, though, man. It was 6v6. We only had 6 kids with us, and they were able to come away with the win. And also coming away with the win in the SEC Media Days media voting, it's Georgia. They've got 165 points to end up being the SEC champion. Texas comes in second with 27 points. Alabama third with 12. Ole Miss with 4 points. Vanderbilt with 2. That's 2 years in a row, I believe, that they got multiple votes to be the SEC championship. Like, let's live in reality. If you're, especially, like, it would be one thing if it's the Afternoon Underdogs voting or the Coach James Hale show vote. You know what I mean? We don't have a legitimate vote. If you're in the SEC media and you're actually able to vote for these things, vote realistic.
Well, that's why they should have to put their name on it. It shouldn't be anonymous. And
Put
then
a
that way, if
stamp on
everybody
that thing.
knows that that's where you went and that's what you're doing. We see a lot of times, people, talking heads and whatnot, pundits talking about sports will tell you who they're voting for if they do have a Hall of Fame voter or what have you. So you know what's out there and you know what they're thinking. Stand behind it, sign it. Like you said, stamp it. I mean, they gotta be, Vandy type reporters.
Yeah,
Obviously.
no doubt. LSU with 2 votes as well. And then South Carolina finishing there at the bottom. The predicted order of finish: Georgia number 1, Texas number 2, Alabama number 3, essentially the same as the votes. Ole Miss 3, LSU 4, Missouri 5. I would actually flip-flop that. I would have Missouri at 4. I think Missouri's a little bit deeper. They're better in the quarterback position. And then also selfishly right here representing Bay County, representing Mosley football. Cam Keys playing cornerback there. So I would have Missouri right there above LSU. LSU is always such an unpredictable team. If the defense is better this year and Garrett Nussmeier is, maybe just a tick below Jaden Daniels, which is going to be really hard to replicate a Heisman winning or a close to Heisman winning season like he had last year, that's going to be tough. So I would flip-flop Missouri and LSU. Then Tennessee comes in. That's also it could be a little low. We'll see what Imaleva is able to produce for them. Oklahoma coming in next. Then the Aggies of Texas A&M. Then Auburn behind them. Kentucky right behind Auburn. Then it's Florida, South Carolina, Arkansas, Mississippi State. And last but not least, the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Oh, they got 2 votes.
You got 2 votes. Preseason media days, all SEC team. We'll dive into that another day. Real quick, one small note on Alabama. I think that it's big for Alabama fans. They're going to name the field Saban Field this year after Nick Saban. Not surprised that it didn't take so long. One thing I would have liked them to do is go with Bryant Saban Stadium. And then you can take Denny, who was like one of the first presidents or whatever, and then make it Denny Field or something like that. I just think having Bryant and Saban on the same stadium name.
Well, I was going to say that's kind of cool, but then you're also splitting it up now, and you got Saban and kind of Bryant kind of separated too, so you can kind of have that a little bit. But then you got Bryant also attached to Denny at the same time. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, in a long enough timeline, you're going to get to a point where you can't name something after somebody because you've already named, so many things. Like, what's next? Like, you're just going to name the bench or you're going to name the goalposts or something after a coach?
That's a good idea, though. The goalpost. I like that. And you could name one the Saban, the left the left upright. You could name that the Saban upright. The right upright. You name that. You can get Gene Stallings, get the rest of these guys up there. What you got, Bone Crusher?
Bathroom.
There you go.
If you had a really bad coach, a really terrible coach, like maybe a lot of people in Alabama. For me, I was. I'm biased towards Mike Shula just because he was in my not infantile years, but impressionable years. He was the coach there. So by the time he was gone, it was like good riddance,
Yeah.
But yeah, you can name a bathroom after
you got
Mike
locker
Shula.
room, press box. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other ways you can go.
But those are things that unless you're really in the know, I don't think people see. Or you like for the bathrooms and stuff, you got to be there at the stadium.
Right, but again, it's an honor. So I mean, that's part of like, you know.
Is it an honor to have bathrooms?
Well, I don't know about that, but anything else. I mean, I don't know. I mean, having your name, it's a legacy. If you got your name on something after you're gone, I don't know. People still might know who you are, even if they didn't know who you are beforehand. But yeah, putting a name on there on stuff like that, it's kind of a cool accolade, though. You know, no matter what it is.
I've got an interesting tidbit for you here from the FWC in just a minute, but obviously we talked about this on the Inside Drive today. Shane Lowry leading after day 2 of the Open at 7 under. He's got a 2-stroke lead over Daniel Brown and Justin Rose. And also, real quick, while we have some time, the Chicago, man, I can't even think of the MLS team name right now, but if their team...
The Fire?
Is it the Fire?
I thought maybe it was.
I was almost going to say Sky, but that's WNBA.
That's WA, but I thought maybe because of the old Chicago Fire.
Yeah, you're right.
From back in like 1903 or whatever.
You're right. So if Messi can't play against them, they're playing on August 31st, and you know he hurt himself in the Copa America. I believe it was the final game.
Yeah, it was like late in the game too when he got his ankle like rolled over.
It was actually in both halves, right? Because he got injured kind of early,
came back.
Not early, but in the first half, and then he came back, and I want to say somewhere in the 70th minute or so. Might have been earlier than that, because I know I kind of fell asleep during the middle of that game.
Danny was sobbing like a 3-year-old girl with 2 skin knees, but I get it.
That is true, but what player in soccer doesn't, man? They go down and they are down for the count. It feels like we need to have a UFC official or a MMA referee just come out as soon as one of those guys go down, and you just start counting 1, 2, and if it gets to 10, you get an automatic, we won't say red card, but you're out of the game. You're out of the game, but someone can come on as a sub for you.
I don't get why they don't throw out more yellow cards for flopping.
Yeah, and especially when you can tell it, man. Like
if you can get up and run, like there should be a time period. If you can get up and run, like and just take off right away, like you weren't even hurt, then they should be like, yeah, the yellow card, man. You're over here flopping around, you know, trying to get attention.
Absolutely. CCWAB. Largemouth bass. Now, Caveman Rick, I don't know if you saw anything about this, but the largemouth bass is now going to be known as the Florida bass.
Yeah, they can do that. It's going to be a largemouth bass to me for the rest of my time period on this planet. So they call them Florida bass or Florida strain of like largemouth bass. It's been talked about for many, many years.
Oh, this is something that's been talked about for a while? Because it'll always be largemouth bass to me as well.
Yeah, me too. But they call it a Florida strain bass. Florida bass, the largemouth bass species. There's a few other ones too that you find like in other areas like up north. But the predominant species, I guess, has probably got that name. It's probably marketing, probably by the state of Florida as well, pushing for it because we are the fishing capital of the world, I suppose. So it probably helps out with that. But I mean, if science is okay with it or whatever and they want to do that, I guess I'm fine with it. I just don't see what was wrong with the name largemouth bass, because you have the other species, the smallmouth bass. Are they going to change that name? Is that going to be like a Michigan bass then or something? Because they're found up in like Great Lakes, up in deep water, you know, typically and stuff. So like if you're not going to do that then, and the other one's going to have the connotation of having a smallmouth, then I don't see the point though, actually.
So it was a recent research done at Yale University. The research also identified the range of Florida bass to be larger than once believed, including not only Florida, but also parts of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. What about Eufaula? Right up there? Like, that's one of the most popular places to go catch a bass all over the state of Alabama. I just don't get it. Like, do these people ever go watch the bass fishing tournaments that you can see on a certain sports channel?
Yeah, and on top of that, too, when you do go to those tournaments and you are competing in those tournaments, it's not only a quote-unquote largemouth bass tournament or Florida Bass Now tournament. Smallmouth bass, other like shoal bass and stuff like that, other species can be kept in your cull of fish that you weigh in at the end.
Yeah.
So technically, it's not even just all largemouth bass fishing. So I don't know. It's just a technicality. I think it's just drumming up like media, tourism, bringing the name about, stuff like that. You'll probably see an uptick in bass fishing now in the next year or something.
Going to get them Florida bass. Well, we're going to take a quick timeout. We're going to be back with Sam Peebles talking more about those Atlanta Braves when we return. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We are the Afternoon Underdogs.
For 7 years, ESPN Northwest Florida has been your destination on the Panhandle for the Atlanta Braves.
He just blew the doors off that thing.
But our Our listeners are the real MVP.
Another dominating performance.
So this year we're giving away more tickets to Truist Park than ever before. Keep listening to win family 4-packs to experience the Atlanta Braves. From ESPN Northwest Florida, PCB Hobby, Pepsi, Fairfield, Hampton Inn on Thomas, and Home 2 Suites.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Friday. A possibility of thunderstorms and partly sunny the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze out of the south-southwest around 10 miles per hour and temps near 88. Tonight we will have likely thunderstorms and mostly clear skies and be quite warm at 81. Likely thunderstorms tomorrow and a high 86. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
You're a real estate agent, not a social media expert, but you absolutely need a professional social media strategy. Stay on top of mind, top of feed, and be in more places. Introducing SocialStackPro.com, a tool for real estate agents that inspires your content with the power of ChatGPT built right in. Try SocialStackPro.com for free. Focus on building your brand, building relationships, and post like a pro with SocialStackPro.com.
Karen bought 83 liters of Dr. Thunder, a suitcase full of Cheez-Its, and a drum of Crisco. Now she's crying about using the self-check at Walmart.
Maybe we should speak to a manager or something.
Just saying. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the doghouse. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. Come on, man. If you're watching on Facebook, Caveman Rick just put on the Philly Fanatic hat. My goodness gracious, that upset me when I turned over there to the left and see that crazy looking thing. As we're about to be talking Atlanta Braves with Sam Peebles, who is the creator of the Braves Dugout podcast, which drops on Thursdays. So you can go check out the latest edition of the Braves Dugout podcast, wherever it is that you find your podcast. Sam, what is up, my brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, man, we are excited for baseball to get back. Well, I guess technically baseball's already back, but excited for the Braves. Some of us in the room might be excited for the Phillies and the Fanatics to take the field tonight, but that's neither here nor there at this point in time. Got to rib Caveman Rick a little bit here. Give me a grade, a letter grade for the Braves in their first half.
I'll give them a B-. I mean, they could have definitely been worse, but it could have definitely been better. Just simply because their offense has been bad, but everything else has been really good. Their pitching, their rotation has been arguably the best in baseball. No team has given up fewer runs than the Braves. So once they make it to the playoffs, I mean, they're set up for success. They got to get there.
Yes, they do. My letter was around C- or a C, right in that area. But then also when I think about the injuries, the major injuries to the team, and it's hard to predict that a team is going to have as good of a first half like the Philadelphia Phillies came out and did. I mean, the Braves, what are they, 11 games over 500? That's not a bad first half at all. And if the Phillies weren't so far ahead right now, I don't think that the Braves' first half looks nearly that bad, especially with as good as the pitching has been, which is kind of like the absolute opposite of what we were expecting going into the season, as far as the Braves' offense kind of dwindling compared to the statistics that they had last year, which leads me to Rob Manfred. Give us the Goldilocks balls, man. Come on. How did you feel about the draft for the Braves, Sam?
It is kind of funny with the comments you made. It wouldn't have been crazy if the Braves had the pitching they had this year and the offense that they had last year. They would have been unstoppable. But as far as the draft goes, I'm really, really shocked that they were able to get the number one high school pitcher in the draft that low in the draft. So I'm no draft expert, but everything that I've read shows me that the Braves would be considered a draft winner to be able to get the picks that they did in the first few rounds as low as they did. And so I'm really excited. I mean, the Braves typically draft pitchers, and, you want to get out of the monotony of that sometimes and just hope that they draft a really cool position player. But it's been working, and with uncertainties like what's going to happen in the future with the rotation and things like that, it makes sense why they do that, especially if you have the 12th ranked prospect or 12th rated draft prospect drop to you in the 24th spot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a win.
And he's a legacy talent from the game of baseball as well. Ken Caminiti's cousin, Cam Caminiti. So awesome stuff there. What about your favorite non-Brave pick? So a guy who was not drafted by the Atlanta Braves. Who was your favorite of those?
Probably just I believe it was the Mariners drafted, number 6, the switch pitcher. I mean, that was just fun to see. I don't think that he'll continue to be a switch pitcher, but that's just kind of really neat.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Sam, who would you say won this past draft we had?
I mean, that's tough because, these players are some of these players are 5 to 6 years out from making the Major League roster. Like, I couldn't even pretend to make a real educated guess on that. It's not like the NFL draft or the NBA draft where they're drafting guys to go straight to the team to fill needs. Really, when you draft, you just draft best available and hope that they work out. So, I mean, I know that the AG is not a big fan of the Cincinnati Reds draft, but I thought that it was a good pick.
You can see that all over Twitter, can't you? Oh, man, AG is one of my favorite guys just to kind of see his name pop up all over the place on Twitter, and he's just bashing all Reds media at that point, which is it is fun to read that. One of my favorite picks, obviously Jack Caglione going over there to the Kansas City Royals, but I think the Rockies getting Charlie Condon, who's out of Georgia, who was a heck of a home run hitter last year, and to be able to get to that ballpark, as you mentioned, it's so tough. You said you're not a draft expert, which would make me a draft minimalist at best. But I really do like that pick there from the Colorado Rockies to get Charlie Condon. But like you mentioned, though, it could be, 2, 3, 4 for the first round picks, 2 to 3 years, hopefully. But some of these guys, 5 to 6 years before we even see them in the league. But one of the guys that stood out to me just because he's a local guy out of Northwest Florida State College, Colby Jones, getting picked up by the Braves. He was actually going to be transferring from Northwest Florida State to Alabama, but once he got picked up by the Braves and was able to stay here in the Southeast, was like, heck no, man, let me go ahead and start the ride. So congratulations to Colby Jones. Do you know anything about him or any thoughts on Colby Jones?
I'm definitely going to be looking into him because I'm super proud of that. I'm really looking forward to see what he does.
Yes, sir. Now, second half is upon us. Tonight is going to be Spencer Schwellenbach getting the start for the Braves, going up against Sonny Gray and the Cardinals, going up against Marcell Ozuna's former team there. What do we need to see, Sam, from the Braves here in the second half?
Well, I mean, I think the answer is pretty obvious in the sense that the offense needs to get things going. What's really interesting is just more point to the balls being different is that if you look at all the underlying metrics of like how hard they're hitting the ball and how often they're hitting the ball hard, they're in the top 5 in almost every category that matters. But then when you look at runs scored, on base percentage, batting average, they're like in the bottom 5. So what that tells me is over a long period of time, their offense will start clicking and they will start getting more runs, but there's no guarantee. That's over a long period of time. So, there's less than half of the season left, so those runs need to start happening. So really the offense is what needs to happen. For this series specifically, the first game is going to be pretty difficult tonight. Most of the Braves have struggled against Sonny Gray for their career. Now, Matt Olson has only had 8 at-bats against him, but he has a .375 batting average against him. So look for Matt Olson to do some damage. But you got guys like Ozzie Albies who's seen him like 13 times and has a .077 batting average against him. And Marcell Ozuna only has like 3 hits against him with over 10 at-bats. So it's going to be a tough one for the Braves. They're going to have to really hope that Spencer Schwellenbach brings his A game today.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a reason? Are you surprised Travis d'Arnaud getting the start tonight over Sean Murphy? Do you have any reasoning for that?
I just think that Brian Snitker really likes Travis d'Arnaud, and I don't get it. Like, there's a lot of things when it comes to offense that I will defend Brian Snitker on. He is a very offensive-minded manager. He's very good at making lineups. This one, I cannot wrap my mind around. Sean Murphy is hands down a top 5 catcher in Major League Baseball when he plays consistently. But when he doesn't play consistently, he's not good. So why in the world would you take all these at-bats and consistent playing time away from arguably a top 5 catcher in Major League Baseball? Not only are you taking at-bats away from that, we've seen, since he's been on the Braves, when he starts playing every other day, his numbers drop drastically. We saw it at the end of last year. I mean, there was a period of time when Travis d'Arnaud was out this year that Sean Murphy was hitting 73% better than league average. He was one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball when he was hitting every day. And then Travis d'Arnaud comes back and they start switching back and forth. And then Sean Murphy's back to struggling again. And and when he was good with the A's, it's because he was catching like 120 plus games a year. I understand that you want to keep your catchers fresh. However, if there's data to back up that when they're not getting consistent playing time, that their numbers drastically drop, you got to take the gamble.
All right, Sam, what would you say for the Atlanta Braves is the goal at the end of this season? Would you say it's to win the division and catch the Phillies, or just to make the playoffs in general?
Well, I mean, they're saying that their goal is to win the division. We've, unfortunately, and this is going to sound kind of biased, but unfortunately, the winning divisions don't really mean that much anymore with the new playoff format. I mean, we saw it last year, and so ultimately, I would imagine their ultimate goal, like any team, but their team specifically with the way that it's built, is kind of World Series. But the Phillies have proven to be the front runners, I think, in the National League. So they're going to have to get past the Phillies, and that's not easy to do. So, I think ultimately, if I was them, their true goal, like true expectation management, would be right where they're at right now, which would be the top wild card spot.
Awesome stuff. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We are on the line with Sam Peebles. He is the creator and host of the Braves Dugout podcast. You can also book him on Cameo. So, hey, get Sam Peebles sending some messages to your people. Just go to cameo.com and look for Sam Peebles, ladies and gentlemen. Trade deadline hopes. Give me a guy, give me a player that you're hoping the Braves go after.
All right, I got a few. There's the realistic ones, and then there's the kind of like hopeful ones, right? And, the realistic ones, the ones that really make sense to me, is Jesse Winker. I mean, he's on a $2 million contract. He's 37% above league average offensively this year. His career output is 20% above league average. Just makes a ton of sense. The Braves, they've already got a high payroll. So if you can bring in a guy that's making the prorated amount of $2 million, and if he doesn't perform, you can just let him walk next year, that makes perfect sense to me. A guy like Jesse Winker, I mean, come on. It makes total sense. You can see a guy like Jock Peterson coming back. He's only owed $12.5 million this year, prorated down for the rest of the season, and Jock Peterson is low-key having one of, if not the best offensive season of his career. The only other season he's had that rivaled it was that year with the Giants. So he's doing excellent this year. I wouldn't be shocked to bring him back. Michael Conforto makes a little bit of sense. He's a little bit expensive, though. But one that I think would be really fun is Jesus Sanchez from the Marlins. He is not a well-known guy, so he's not going to have a huge bidding war, but he's under team control through the 2026 season. He'd be a massive upgrade over Eddie Rosario or Adam Duvall. And even when he's not like the type of guy that you have to worry about when Ronald Acuna comes back, Michael Harris comes back. He wouldn't be expensive, so he can just be a really solid fourth outfielder for the Braves for years to come. And he's got some serious pop. If you look at his current numbers, he's slightly below average, but his underlying metrics are showing that he's one of the most unlucky players in baseball right now. So that's the type of guy that Braves typically go after, guys that look like, okay, they had a bad year, but really a good comp would be, Soler.
Oh, yeah.
His numbers are looking really bad, right? But when the Braves brought him in, he just became like this uber star. Well, Sanchez has that same type of potential. He's showing the underlying metrics to be able to do that. He just hasn't broken through yet.
And great stuff, Sam. Let's ask you a question. Bust out your crystal ball and dust it off, if you will. But name a team that has had a bad first half of the season, but it's going to turn it on this second half, and we're going to see them maybe make a run.
The Braves. I'm just kidding. They do have the second easiest schedule remaining, so you could see that. You could realistically say that. But I'm going to say probably the Cubs. I just think that the team that they have, they've severely underperformed, and I just think that they're a much better team on paper than what they're showing. And I think Cubs fans will be happy to see that they're going to start getting a lot better. Now, that's if they don't sell at the trade deadline. If they sell at the trade deadline, you can go ahead and kiss the season goodbye. But if they if they decide to stay pat, I think the Cubs have a legitimate chance to be in the third wild card conversation.
All right, we'll take that same question and let's flip-flop it now. And how about a team that had a really good first half, but you think is going to cool off now?
I would say probably the Dodgers, because of all the injuries they've had. I mean, do you think the Braves have had bad injuries? Look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers have had serious amount of injuries, especially in the pitching staff. And even the guys that they had potentially coming back, like Dustin May, is going to be out for the remainder of the season too. I mean, they just it's not for a lack of talent, it's for a lack of everyone all the injuries that they're having. I think that the Dodgers, they're very top-heavy in their offense, so if they start losing any more offensive players to injury, the likelihood of them getting worse is pretty high.
Let's talk about some players here. They're on pace for some records, or maybe just some on-pace numbers here. Elly De La Cruz, on pace for 77 stolen bases. How do you think he gets there or not?
I'm going to say probably not, just because it takes I'll take a step back and say one of the reasons Ricky Henderson was so good at total stolen bases is because he was one of the best in the league at getting on base. Elly De La Cruz has the tool set, but his strength is not getting on base.
Yeah.
In fact, he's on pace for breaking records with strikeouts. So typically guys that are strikeout kings don't get on base a ton. So I don't foresee him getting there. Of course, I'm rooting for it, and I'd love to see it, but I just don't think that the odds favor it.
Just real quick on that with the Elly De La Cruz thing versus the Ricky Henderson, would it be like advantageous maybe to say that maybe because De La Cruz isn't getting the help in the lineup too, so even if he gets on base, like there's not that threat there where for him to move over to the base pads because they're not worried about the guys at the plate?
I don't know. It's hard to say because, like with Ricky Henderson, he was batting first, so it's not like they were really pitching around him, right? Like they were pitching to him. So he was getting on base even when they were pitching to him, whereas Elly De La Cruz, I would argue the opposite, where with the lineup around him, they'd be more willing to pitch around him, yet he's still striking out a ton.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great point there. Jose Reyes had 78 back in 2007. Ronnie last year, 73. Cruz right now, 46 steals in 96 games. Obviously, the rule changes have helped that a lot as well. Could you imagine Ricky Henderson with these rule changes? My goodness, some of those numbers would be absolutely asinine. Aaron Judge, he's on pace for 56 home runs. Do you think he gets there?
Yes. And my reasoning is because he started off extremely slow and still has this many home runs. He's trending up, believe it or not. So he's the front runner for MVP, and he's not showing any signs of slowing down. I think the odds of him reaching that goal are much higher than De La Cruz reaching the goal, the former goal you said.
Yeah, 34 home runs to this point of the season, so only needs 22 to get to that number of 56. Gunnar Henderson is on pace right now for 132 runs. He's already scored an MLB high 78. 28 of those coming off of his own home runs there. Do you think Gunnar Henderson gets to 132 runs?
I say yes, because the Orioles have a fantastic offense, but on top of that, they're in a position where they might trade to upgrade their offense a little bit. So runs is really a team stat more than anything else. I mean, it's a combination of personal stats and team stats. So you could be the best hitter in the league and not score any runs, and you could also be a slightly above league average player and score a ton of runs. Him being an elite player on an elite offense really helps him. And if they add even more to that offense, that just brings up his chances of doing it. So, yeah, I think there's a very good shot.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with Sam Peebles. We'll finish up with these final few stats here. Ryan Helsley of the Cardinals, 32 saves on the year, on pace for 54. Does Ryan Helsley and the Cardinals get to 54 saves?
Well, I'll tell you what, he doesn't have a chance to do it tonight because his flight got canceled because of the Microsoft thing, and he's not going to be at the game. So that's going to be but saves are very volatile and extremely hard to predict. And to be honest with you, they're not a very good predictor of skill level because they're so situational. I'm going to say but the odds are probably up there just because the Cardinals started off much like Aaron Judge. The Cardinals started off slow. They've heated up, and they've put themselves in a lot more games recently. So I think it's definitely possible.
I did not put two and two together about what it is that you do with in the cyber world. Can you tell us more about the cyber strike, like the crowd strike whole situation? Can you fill us in and maybe put it into layman's terms when we get back?
Sure.
All right, let's take a quick break, Sam Peebles. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to get educated when we get back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
I don't think there's one match under Triple H's regime that we remember anything. And this is going on for years now. I mean, this is the new wrestling, right? It's, the last match I really remember is Andre and Hogan, to be honest.
Hey, there you go.
So, wow. There you go.
There's been a few in between, Mike.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Friday. A possibility of thunderstorms and partly sunny the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze out of the south-southwest around 10 miles per hour and temps near 88. Tonight we will have likely thunderstorms and mostly clear skies and be quite warm at 81. Likely thunderstorms tomorrow and a high 86. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Your safety and proper care of your boat in an emergency is crucial. When it comes to on-water assistance, response time is everything. And since 1996, in the Bay or on the Gulf, it's SeaTow. SeaTow's Coast Guard licensed captains are on the scene in an average of 1 hour or less. SeaTow gets members home or back to boating faster. Become a member today at SeaTow.com or call 850-234-2323.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore portable building dealer, Panama City.
You think you've been on your grind? The 11-year-old cashier at the Gin Gin puts in more hours than you.
Do any of you people do any actual work?
Just saying.
We might need to work on your sales pitch.
Less work and more play.
All right, show's over. Everybody back to work.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is. We're back. I was going to say hour number 2. We're not quite there yet, but we are going to be doing some learning here in this segment before we get back to some stats, some on-pace stats, and 7 stars that could catch up, or not catch up, but finish up with some great numbers on the year. But I'm interested in hearing from Sam Peebles here. What is going on with this CrowdStrike situation?
Yeah, so it's funny you ask because I'm actually
working
in the middle of yeah, I'm actually in the middle of teaching a cybersecurity class this week, so it's kind of funny. But really, to put it in layman's terms, it was, at least according to them, right? You never know truly the true answer, right? But based on what they're saying, is that it was a buggy patch, and this happened to me back in 2018. Something not quite as drastic as this, but just to make it more understandable, back in 2018, there's this thing called the Spectre Meltdown patch, and essentially they found a vulnerability, meaning there's a hole in the software that a bad guy can exploit and do bad things to, in the processor chips of computers. So Microsoft came out with a patch, and like with your Xbox or PlayStation, you'll see that there's a patch for your video game or whatever. It's because they found a problem and they're fixing it. Well, when this patch was pushed, certain versions of the Microsoft Windows would crash. Well, this is essentially the same thing, just on a much larger scale. They found a vulnerability or a misconfiguration, and so they pushed a patch to try to fix it. And that's a good thing. Most of the time, 99.999% of the time, pushing a patch is a good thing. But if you don't do your due diligence and make sure your patch is good, there's a possibility that it could crash your system. And it's crashed a ton of systems across the entire world. And as we know, Microsoft is the number 1 used operating system in the entire world. And so if it's completely killing systems by, you've probably seen the blue screen of death before on your computer, and you're like, oh, today's going to be a great day. Awesome. Well, it's like that, just multiplied by, a large sum. You've got systems all over the entire world that they downloaded this patch automatically, because that's what Windows does, and crashed a bunch of systems. So it'll be interesting to see the fallout from this, because it's a third-party patch. It's not made by Windows.
We're all going back to Linux, baby.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am a fan of Linux, so I wouldn't suggest against it. If you can learn Linux, here's a piece of fun advice for anybody out there. If you can learn Linux pretty well, you're virtually guaranteed a pretty decent job. So learn Linux if you can.
Right on. Just curious, though, on what you were saying about this, Sam, this patch. I mean, since it was a third party, too, could this, be like a malicious kind of a thing, disgruntled type person, or just somebody, obviously, that wanted to embed something into this patch to kind of create this fallout, if you will?
Yes, the possibility is definitely there. I will say this, it probably won't ever be released to the public, because one of the most valuable things that large companies have is their reputation. Yeah. It's more valuable than any dollar amount. So, if your reputation goes down and then your competitor takes over and now they're the largest company, you might as well close your doors. So, even if it was malicious in intent, I highly doubt you'll see publicly that it was.
Is there anything our listeners or people that might be seeing this on Facebook or YouTube, is there anything that they can do to kind of steer clear of this, or is it an is what it is type situation?
Unfortunately, at this moment in time, it is what it is until there's a corrective action created. Unfortunately, this is one of those situations where preventative controls were not in place, and so we're going to have to wait till the company reacts. Much like in 2018, all we could do was sit back and just inform people to not download this patch if they haven't already.
Q&A time with Professor Peebles, man. That is awesome stuff, man.
The craziest thing about this, too, how I find out about it this morning, I go to put on Sports Center, and they don't have that on. They got a version of Unsportsmanlike, though, that had Courtney Cronin and Freddie... what's his name? Anyways, Freddie Coleman. And they were saying that they couldn't do any of the shows because of all the IT stuff going down. They couldn't show highlights. They couldn't put up any kind of visuals. They couldn't do any of that kind of stuff. So it crippled like big networks as like, as huge as ESPN, where they couldn't even do regular programming. So that's how I find out. Like, usually I find out stuff like on memes or other stuff like that sometimes. And that's like my current events. Well, that's how I found it this morning at like, 5:45 a.m.
Wow. Yeah, I found out from people calling me saying, "Hey, we're not going to be able to fly home today."
Oh, man. Current events, memery.
That's it, man. That's it, yo. I mean, that's where you get some of the best news sometimes.
Back to some of these stats here. Jose Ramirez on pace for 131. He's got 77 this year. What do you think for Jose Ramirez? Does he get to 131 RBIs?
Oh, I'm going to say no, because I think that the Guardians' offense has overperformed this year. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just don't expect them to be able to keep that pace up. Stephen Kwan has been otherworldly, and he's been getting on base like crazy, and he's batting ahead of Jose Ramirez. There's no way that Kwan can keep that up for the entire rest of the year. As much as I'd love to see it, the odds of it are extremely low. So his number one guy that's getting on base for him to give him RBIs, it's going to be hard for that pace to continue.
This next stat is absolutely wild as well. Garrett Crochet on the worst team in baseball, the Chicago White Sox, led MLB with 150 strikeouts in the first half of the season. He's on pace for 248. What do we say about Crochet?
Well done. I'm going to say if he was to continue pitching, it's definitely possible. But with as young as he is and never having pitched that many innings in the pros, and with him being on a losing team, unless he gets traded, if he stays on the White Sox, he'll probably get shut down at some point or be put on more of a stringent inning limit. So I think that would really hurt his chances.
And then the final one has to do with the Atlanta Braves. Chris Sale, pitcher for our Bravos, on pace for 22 wins, 13 wins in the first half of the season. Good for the major league lead there. What do you think about Sale? Does he get 9 more on the season?
Let me just step on a soapbox real quick and say that wins are the most pointless stat in Major League Baseball. But that being said, now we've got that out of the way, yes, I think it's very possible, especially with, I believe, the Braves' offense will pick it up in the second half. They also have the second easiest schedule remaining among all Major League Baseball teams, so the probability's favorite. I'll just say that.
There you go, man. Well, great stuff as always, Sam. What is the preferred stat when we're looking at pitchers?
One thing I'd look at probably is expected fielding independent pitching.
Okay.
That's the one that can really give you an idea. I mean, I could go into much deeper stats, but that's the easiest one that you can just find on, say, Fangraphs.
And you've already taught us so much today. I don't know if our brains could handle it. No, seriously, though, that was a very informative stuff there on CrowdStrike and what's going on with the whole situation. So thank you, as always, man, keeping us up to date on the Braves and what's happening in the world as well. Sam Peebles, ladies and gentlemen, hey, go check out the Braves Dugout podcast. Look how much we learned in just 15, 20 minutes. Think about how much you can learn from him every single week, listening to him right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, but also with his podcast, the Braves Dugout Podcast, and get him on Cameo. My man Sam, take care, buddy. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Go Braves.
Go Braves. Man, what a guy he is.
Later, Sam. Love you. Go Phillies.
Oh, way to sneak that one in after he's already gone from us this afternoon. But no, hey, when did you take off the Philly Fanatics hat? Was that in between the segments?
Yeah, in between.
Okay,
I just,
gotcha.
for the first segment, I figured I'd, bring it, for Sam, since we're supposed to be talking Braves. I'll kind of put a little juju out here on for you guys.
There you go. Our trivia question for today today for a little traffic jam and trivia. Which team in college football has won the most overall conference championships? 850-215-6290. Which team has won the most overall conference championships? You can call that number now. And also, we got a little update earlier from Coach David Hutchinson, which is with Team Addictive Elite. The gold team there, and they have been on a tear. They're still undefeated. Now they're waiting to play the championship game tomorrow, and they have to be beaten twice. They beat the Bulldogs from Michigan and the Indiana Gators back-to-back games today to get to the championship. So I'll ask him here. I don't know what time the championship and where that's going to be, but I'll find that information out, and we'll give them another shout-out. Also, tonight at Mosley, starting at 6:30, youth football camp. That is going to be absolutely free. There is no sign up. It's just show up. So go out there. If you've got a youngin' who's playing football, that's a perfect opportunity. A free football camp right here in your backyard. It's going to be over there at Mosley, 6:30 to about 8:30. No sign-ups. Just show up.
No doubt. Congratulations, ladies, too. Team Addictive.
Yeah, it's a Team Addictive Elite. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, sir. And congratulations to, to us, right? Almost getting through hour number one. Hour number two is upon us, but we've got a couple more minutes here. Ravens. They're getting Eddie Jackson, two-time Pro Bowler. They have lost a little bit on the defensive side of the ball this year. How do you feel about that move for the Ravens? Getting another Bama boy over there to go along with Marlon Humphrey. I'm excited about it personally. The Ravens are starting to kind of be like the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You got Georgia, hey, two bird teams, right? You got the Georgia Bulldogs over there with Philadelphia Eagles, and you got Lil Bama starting over there with the Baltimore Ravens.
I think what the Baltimore Ravens is doing is great, man. They just kind of keep it rolling. They got their long-term quarterback rolled up and locked up. They got their wide receiver room maybe locked up tighter, a little bit better. They got a great runner in Derrick Henry. I just think it's all going to be again, can they stay healthy, man? Like, they've had those injury woes at running back. They've had injury woes at wide receiver on the defensive side. Finally, maybe if they can kick that bug, this might be the year. Like I said, I've got some futures on the Ravens doing pretty well this year.
Absolutely. Well, back to our trivia question. Which team you got futures on? The Ravens?
Yeah.
For the AFC North, or?
Oh, I got it. Well, for that, I got them for beating the Chiefs week 1.
Oh, yeah.
I got them for the AFC.
What were the odds for that one?
Oh, I think it was like plus 450, I think.
That is not bad to beat the Ravens.
Yeah, but with the spread.
to beat the Chiefs in week 1?
Yeah, to beat the Chiefs, yeah.
Oh, but with the spread.
Yeah.
But they got points.
Or no, it was the money line, though. No, they got 3. I want to say 3 and a half. Yeah,
probably 3.5. That's what that would make sense.
It was like when the schedule came. What was it, like 6 or 8 weeks ago?
Yeah.
It's been a little bit. But then also got them winning AFC. The whole conference.
The whole I like that, man. Ravens and Eagles for the champion.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. Well, I mean,
did you put a Eagles Super Bowl?
No, I'm not.
Because you're waiting on the Phillies right now. You got
and I don't want to jinx the Eagles right now either, man. I think if I do that kind of stuff right there, I'm kind of kiss of death. You don't want to do that.
$25 to Swampy Jack's Wongo Adventure on the line. That's amusement rides, mini golf, and go-karts. You just got to tell me which team has won the most overall conference championships in college football history. This is the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
America's team plays here.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out. That's number 10.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida. Charlie Morton, Max Fried, and Chris Sale lead the Braves' dominant pitching rotation.
That's 18 up, 18 down.
Sponsored by Panama City Toyota, LS Agency Insurance, Bestway Portable Buildings, PCB Hobby, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Got him swinging, strike 3.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Friday. A possibility of thunderstorms and partly sunny the remainder of the day with a gentle breeze out of the south-southwest around 10 miles per hour and temps near 88. Tonight we will have likely thunderstorms and mostly clear skies and be quite warm at 81. Likely thunderstorms tomorrow and a high 86. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumberyard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Love a great deal? This is the big one. The Big One sales event is going on now, and you can get 3.99% APR plus 90 days until you make your first payment on Camry's new elevated design. Make every drive count and get 2.99% on the stylish Corolla. Rule every adventure and get 2.99% on a new RAV4. Or enjoy the power and get 1.99% on the tough Tundra. Come see us for the big one at Panama City Toyota.
Offer ends July 31st. Visit PanamaCityToyota.com for details.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
WGSX Lynn Haven WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Hour number 2, this time for real. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Caveman Rick and the Bone Crusher, and we are excited to have Braves baseball back on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coverage starting at 6 tonight for a first pitch of 6:20. Spencer Schwellenbach going up against Sonny Gray tonight. The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida, sponsored by Brock's Pest Control, Stormore Portable Buildings, Bill Bird Kia, Mid-South Lumber, and PCB Hobby. Also, PCB Hobby is looking for someone with retail experience in sports cards and also a streamer for comic books. So stop by PCB Hobby and get you a job over that way. Yeah, right over there next to Florida Linens. Not too far up here on Back Beach. It's better to take Middle Beach, I would say, and kind of cut across there. But yeah, you just put it in your old Google machine and you will find PCB Hobby. Go get you a good job over there. We left off talking a little trivia, right? And our trivia question for today, y'all call in and take some answers. Give us some answers. There's no such thing as a stupid answer for a question that is this broad. Which team has won the most overall conference championships in college football? Which team has won the most overall conference championships in college football? It's a little bit of a trick question, so let's get some answers in, get those things rolling. Call the number right now, 850-215-6290. Don't be scared, man. Call in right now. We got Swampy Jack's Wongo Adventures, $25. Amusement rides, mini golf, and go-karts to Swampy Jack's Wongo Adventure. All right, Caveman Rick. Johnny Carter's going to be with us shortly. Ran into some traffic. You guys know how it goes this time of the year. My goodness, man. I feel like normally it takes me about 35 minutes to get from Callaway to here. Lately, it feels like people have turned the speed limit down to 35 miles an hour. They're on Sunday strolls, Sunday joyrides. I mean, that's not even dealing with beach traffic. I only got to get to Thomas Drive and take a quick little left there. So let's get over to the phone line. We've got Ed right here in PCB. You just got off work. Are you going to try to get a little winnings right here? Which team has won the most overall conference championships, Ed?
Yale from the Ivy League.
Well, I can't say absolutely no. That is not the answer that I'm looking for, though. From the particular trivia question where I got this from, that is not the right answer. Ed, thank you so much for your time, my friend.
All right, buddy. Have a good weekend.
Hey, you do the same, my man. Stay safe out there. 850-215-6290. Now, this team, in their particular conference that they're in now, has not won a championship. This is not a team who just recently was a part of the conference realignment. But this goes way back, and they're actually I don't know what you got right there.
I was just looking up Yale.
They got 18?
18, and then 9 shared is what it's looking like right now.
All right, so that would put it at 27, which would be still pretty far off of the number that we're looking for here, which I'm not asking for the number. Just give me the team. They have not been a champion in the conference that they hail from these days. 850-215-6290. Did get an update here from Coach Hutchinson for Addictive Elite Gold team there. the Gold Hutchinson team. The championship game is tomorrow at Public Sportsplex, Field 5, 9:30 p.m. for the championship. No wonder Johnny Yankee C can't join us, because these games are going on so late into the evening, into the wee hours of the morning, if you will. Annalise Skipper from Cottondale pitched a great complete game in the semifinal. Christina Clayton from St. Joe pitched a complete game this morning. Nola Harvard from Baker, Alabama led the team with a hot bat, and Tori Pruill from Wakulla has been on fire in the batter's box, and then Caitlin Russ has been making the outfield a no-fly zone. So congratulations to them. 9:30, I believe that's, I'm assuming PM here, but it could be AM. So I'm going to have to ask him as we get ready to have a trivia, another person on the line to play a little trivia with us. I've got 3 spots left for fantasy football, y'all.
Just 3.
3 spots left, and then we're going to start building the waiting list. So if you want to play fantasy football with the Afternoon Underdogs, you've got to text your name and your email to 850-215-6290. We're going to be holding the draft at PCB Hobby August 25th. That's a Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. Don, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Where you calling from, my man?
I'm in Panama City, up by the airport.
Hey,
working.
Oh, you're working at the airport. Didn't know if maybe you're just getting ready to fly out or fly in. We're just curious. Yeah, was the are they flying out of PCB right now? But anyways, Don, which team has won the most overall conference championships?
I'm going to take a wild guess and say Nebraska.
That is a great guess, not so wild, and it is the correct answer. So I love that sound. We've been using it all over the Inside Drive lately. It's just a soothing sound, and you are the winner, my man. Have you ever been to Swampy Jack's Wongo Adventures?
Yes, sir. My daughter loves that place.
Awesome, man. Well, you're going to have $25 to help lessen the damage over there, and it's a great place, man. Lots of fun. What would you say your daughter's favorite ride or thing to do there at Swampy Jack's?
She likes the Swamp Ape and the Mario Kart.
Yeah, the Mario Karts are awesome. The Swamp Ape, is that the swings that just like kind of take you around and around and around?
The Swamp Ape's like the spinny ride.
Yeah, gotcha. That's I think that we rode that one. I'm pretty sure, but.
It's indoors too, I think.
Yes, yeah, that's the ride that I'm thinking of, because it's got the Abominable Snowman, right?
Correct.
Yes, that is the ride I'm thinking. So it's not swings, but it does take you around in a circle, right?
Right, it's more like the old spider ride or whatever you call that. You know?
Up and down, round and round we go. Hey, my man, thank you. So, you got anything else for us?
Go Buckeyes!
Go Buckeyes! Hey, all right, my man. I know who we're talking to now. Hey, hang on the line real quick, and Bone Crusher is going to grab your information from you, all right?
I appreciate it, man.
All right. Hey, have a great day. Be safe this weekend. Coach Hutchinson, 9:30 a.m. for the championship, and they would have to be beaten twice. So go check them out over there at the Public Sports Park. That is going to be 9:30 in the good old a.m. Field 5 Public Sports Complex over there. Top 5 players here for the last 25 years. You see some of these names on here, and if I started talking about Peyton Manning, you'd be like, well, that wasn't in the last 5 years, but I forget who dropped it. I believe it was the NFL who dropped this list. Top 5 players from the last 25 years. Ray Lewis coming in at number 5. Aaron Donald coming in at number 4. Patrick Mahomes coming in at number 3. Peyton Manning at 2, and Tom Brady, the number 1 overall player. Now, there could be some disagreements there, but all right, let's not start at the top of this list. Would you shuffle any of these other names, though?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think maybe Ray Lewis. I might not have him in the list as a top 5 of the last 25 years. Of course, you can argue some other stuff. Aaron Donald, obviously, very, very dominant player when he was playing. So, yeah, he could definitely be up there. Patrick Mahomes, of course. Of course, people are going to say Tom Brady, depending on, the situation. I mean, he has won a lot, but, reasons here or there as to why. Peyton Manning's kind of a head scratcher. Yes, he was a great player, only won a couple championships, was a big, name and face of the league for a while. So I don't know where they're going, for this list, because you can definitely make the argument, in the last 25 years, there's been, quite a wealth of players that played in the league and a lot of people that can actually kind of compete, to be on this list.
Yeah, so this is actually the scores list here from the top 5 players. There's actually 25 players, but I just saw top 5 and figured we'd dive into that here. But the reason for Ray Lewis being on this list, they say, is that he wasn't just a face of the Ravens team, but the face of an era. The stout, hard-hitting defenses that controlled the NFL back in the 2000s. For me, I know that there's off-the-field issues that a lot of people look to. As far as on the field, with Ray Lewis, though, growing up, that was one of the guys that you just did not want to see on the other side.
I'm more of a fan of Ed Reed, man. He was the real deal, man, over Ray Lewis, and he didn't get in trouble. So I would definitely go with Ed Reed. Let's see who else maybe back then. Not as big as probably Ray Lewis. Bart Scott back then with the Ravens. Scott, he was pretty good, too, for a while there before he went to the Jets.
I forgot about Bart Scott's time with the old Ravens, man, because I remember him a little bit more as a Jet.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Love Bart Scott.
Yeah, man. Patrick Mahomes being behind Peyton Manning. I'm a guy that I feel like
Cowherd?
No, not Cowherd. Chris Collinsworth.
Oh, okay.
Here's a guy.
Yeah.
I'm a guy that growing up, it was always Peyton Manning for me over Tom Brady. And in fact, Joe Montana was my go up until the 28-3 comeback there from Tom Brady and the New England Patriots over the Atlanta Falcons. And then at that point, I was so sick and tired of betting against Tom Brady that I was like, you know what? I'm in with you, man. But I always liked Peyton Manning over Tom Brady, just the way that he was a little bit more, I don't want to say cerebral, but more demonstrative with his cerebralism, if you will. But still, it's hard for me with I know that we're still young into the career here with Patrick Mahomes, but I think that Patrick Mahomes to some degree has passed Peyton Manning. When it's all said and done, do you think he has more than 10 All-Pros?
Probably so. Yeah, I could see that. As far
now
as
the MVPs, he's got 5 of those. Where's Patrick Mahomes at on that list? He's only got 2.
Still got time.
Yeah,
but I mean, you have to wait and see what happens though during this era.
And voter fatigue when it comes to MVPs and all of that good stuff as well.
So who on this list? Who would you actually add? I think, for me, Marshall Faulk could be one that you could probably put on one top 5, maybe last 25 years. Big name dude.
Top 5, though. See, I think that I think for me, this list is Aaron Donald is such a wrecking ball, right? The things that he was able to do from not even an edge rusher position as much as a defensive tackle. What Ray Lewis, again, off the field, I know that that's going to have some people feel a certain type of way, but if we're just talking about top 5 guys who made a difference, who made a huge impact on the game, I don't have an issue with this list. I'm surprised, honestly, that two defensive guys. I mean, what about Drew Brees? Is the Saints is Sean Payton coaching in Denver right now without Drew Brees? Is Nick Saban, did Nick Saban ever go to Alabama if he got the quarterback that he wanted and Drew Brees and didn't get stuck with Dante Culpepper?
Yeah, who knows?
So Drew Brees is a guy that's up there, and if Phillip Rivers would have won daggum 2 Super Bowls, I think he would be up here. I think that those would be your guys. And another guy with off the field issues that I think was how about Troy Polamalu?
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, some of the plays he was able to make, just what an athlete he was. So
you could say James Harrison, though, too, on that Steelers team. Big play in the Super Bowl and all that with that, what was it, 99-yard return?
The one against the Cardinals, right?
Against the Cardinals, yeah, no doubt. So, that's a guy right there that you could talk about, too. There's a few, on a team like the Steelers, but when you're talking about, names and faces of a league for the last 25 years, and there's some other places I think you can go. I think some of this has to do with hype, like the Ray Lewis one. The other
you want to go through 6 through 10?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so 10 coming in, LT. LaDainian Tomlinson.
Pretty big name.
Number 9, Randy Moss.
Okay.
That's a guy that I feel like you can make the argument for to be in the top 5 possibly, especially after that season with the hated GOAT, if you will, in Tom Brady. Coming in at number 8, your boy, we were just talking about him possibly being in the top 5, E.D. Reed.
Yeah, Ed Reed.
Ed Reed there at 8. Number 7, a name I forgot about, but obviously a force to be reckoned with in J.J. Watt.
Yeah, I can see that.
Number 6 is going to be Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know about that.
4 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl MVP, 5 All-Pros. I don't, as much, I'm not a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers. I'm not. But there's no denying how good of a quarterback he is. I'm really surprised that people are so far off of the Jets bandwagon this year. If he comes back and he's the Jets last year with a vegetable medley of quarterbacks went 7-10 last year. If Aaron Rodgers comes back and is 80% of himself, I think that the Jets, I'm not going to sit here and say that they run away with the AFC North by any stretch of the imagination, but I will say that I think that they're almost a shoo-in for the playoffs in a very tough conference in the AFC.
I just think it's kind of fatigue. I think maybe a lot of people are just kind of sick of hearing about the Jets. Maybe that's one of the reasons why, too, especially with Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, again, trying to think of some other names that, I can maybe throw out there in the last 25 years. Basically, you want longevity. You want somebody that's been around the league, made an impact. Hopefully he's won some championships, too. So if you can, fit that mold, then you can, be a good reason to be on that list. I still think they're going with a little bit more hype. They're going with a little bit more of that, that sizzle and splash instead of real solid numbers and guys that really made a difference.
I like 15 through 11 here. Troy Polamalu, a guy who we mentioned could be in the top 5, coming in at 15, 6 All-Pros. He had 1 Player of the Year and 2 Super Bowl rings. Then coming in at 14, the first tight end that we see on this list.
Gonzalez?
Tony Gonzalez. I was going to see, is he about to say Travis Kelce? But no. Tony Gonzalez.
Kelce hasn't done it long enough yet.
Yeah, 10 All-Pro. I mean, Kelce hasn't done it long enough, you don't think?
To be on that high up on that list?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
No, that's absolutely fair. That's fair. Gronkowski also is a name who you might could mention just because he's retired, but I don't know how many All-Pros.
If I was going to mention the Kelce on this list, I put his brother Jason on here, man, for the time he did it with the Eagles, being basically one of the all-time best centers that the game's ever seen.
And a very tough position to play as well.
Got to be a smart guy.
And it's going to be really, I'm intrigued by what happens with the tush push this year. I know that the Philadelphia faithful have faith in that play to continue to work.
I know what's going to happen. You're going to see Jalen Hurts do it less because you got Saquon, man, and he's got thighs just like, Jalen Hurts does, and he can squat a bus. So why put your quarterback out there and risk him with injury when you can put a running back who's naturally gifted at that position anyways, used to taking the hits, and can probably push the pile just as much. So I can see that we're probably going to utilize him a lot more, and I think in the long run it's going to help out Jalen Hurts' his longevity.
Coming in at number 13, representing the Oakland Raiders and the Green Bay Packers, Charles Woodson.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good. He got 1 ring, 1 Player of the Year, 7 All-Pros, but just a guy that you did not throw the ball his way.
The Randy Moss one's okay, but I mean, if you're going to throw him out there, and I hate to say it too, because I'm not a big fan of the guy, but then I mean, you almost have to throw Terrell Owens out there because they're on par with one another as far as the only thing that Terrell Owens doesn't have on Randy Moss is what championship.
Yeah, that's about it. And if Randy Moss didn't play with the New England Patriots, does he get one? Wait,
no, that was the undefeated season that they lost. That's right. Yeah, no matter. That's
wait, so did Randy ever get a ring?
I guess not. No.
Oh man, wait,
Vikings, Raiders, no, man. Patriots, no, man. No, he didn't, dude. No. We were thinking about that, but that was the season that was, Eli.
He played in 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots and with the 49ers. I don't even remember him on the 49ers.
Yeah, 1 year. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that had to have been late in it. So the 49ers have had some of the best wide receivers pass through their doors.
Yeah, when you talk about Jerry Rice, you talk about Randy Moss, talk about Terrell Owens. I mean, it's a pretty good crowd to be in.
I would say that you got an argument for those being maybe some of the top 3. But
I mean, arguably top 3 wide receivers.
If you're going to put out a top 5, those 3 guys are going to be on your top 5
or if you're going to look at
a
franchise that might have had the 3 best or whatever wide receiver room, if you go 1 through 3, that's be up there.
Yeah, Woodson, too, not only started out as a cornerback, but then moves to safety as well to finish out the final 4 years of his career. Coming in at number 12 is going to be Drew Brees, 5 All-Pros, 2 Player of the Years, 1 Super Bowl MVP, and 1 ring. Great career there with the New Orleans Saints, and started out with the Chargers, but then dealt with that injury at the tail end of his Chargers career, and they thought that was going to be the end of his career. The Dolphins medical staff also felt the same way about that. Saints took a flyer on him. Sean Payton takes a chance on him, and it worked out well, especially for the city of New Orleans. I will never forget that game when they got back from Hurricane Katrina and they're playing the Falcons on Monday Night Football, and just huge for the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong there. They had that, what was it, Steve Gleason, the kicker that got, MS after a while and stuff. And that was a good moment too. So,
yes, sirree. All right, and then the final one here, final one of this particular portion of the list, the 11th player, Adrian Peterson.
AP. I can kind of see that too. I guess maybe, but again, too, hasn't won nothing.
Yeah, 7 All-Pros, 1 Player of the Year, and 1 MVP with that 2,000-yard season.
So, I mean, it's a fair. He's got the accolades, but again, I'd like to see some people maybe that have won a little bit more.
Yeah, great stuff. Great list there from the Score. Always fun to kind of debate those. You're never going to have a perfect list. No one's ever going to put out there a perfect list unless you're looking at your own list and look at this thing. It's perfect. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Speaking of perfection, we're going to be talking with Johnny Carter III coming up next. You don't want to miss this. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. We're taking the inside drive.
I follow a lot of soccer and basketball on Instagram, and you have some of these NBA players that are like, whoa, man, the Europeans, they're working on fundamentals at a young age, where we're just going to tournaments and playing these games. They're really learning the game inside out before they start.
Join Ryan Mulvey.
Thank you very little.
Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Friday. For tonight, possible thunderstorms and mostly clear skies and a low of 81 with a light breeze out of the south at 6 miles per hour. Tomorrow morning, definite thunderstorms and light showers with temps around 85. In the afternoon and evening, likely thunderstorms and sprinkles and a temperature near 86. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Most people sign up for health insurance during the open enrollment period at the end of the year. But did you know you may qualify for a special enrollment period at any time during the year? Florida Health Connector can tell you if you're qualified for a zero premium plan.
Call Florida Health Connector today at 850-249-1010. Florida Health Connector.
We connect to blue. Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
It's go time all the time. Sports talk around the clock.
Oh my gosh!
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back at the Doghouse. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 right here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Your Atlanta Braves are back tonight. Coverage starting at 6 o'clock. First pitch tonight at 6:20. But we've got a great human being in the building with us today. My favorite fighter, waiting on the day that you get the call to the UFC. But until then, still my favorite fighter. And that's just how it's going down. Johnny Carter III. He holds the Gladiator title and the AFL title in the light heavyweight division. Also, how impressive is this? Number 2 in the nation.
Thanks.
Number 1 in the Southeast. And this is actually coming off of and if you're watching me on Facebook, a loss in his last fight. Got to throw the air quotes up there. I went back and watched the fight. The only thing that he really had in his favor, that your opponent that you were taking on that day, is he held you up against the cage.
Yeah.
But when the hands started dropping on him, I don't think he was ready for that. He wasn't ready. So, Johnny, what's been going on with you lately, man?
Nothing. Just training, working, spending time with my kids. With the family, my fiance. Just been chilling.
So with that last fight, real quick, what is the appeal? You're appealing the decision. With that.
But whether it get appealed or not, I don't really care. It's just the fact that, people make mistakes, but that just didn't sit right with me.
So, and you were mentioning too while we were in the break there, 2 judges scored it 29-28 his way.
Yeah.
1 judge scored it 30-27 your way. With that being said, for those of you who may not tune into fighting, essentially you get 10 points for winning a round, and you get 9 points if you lose a round. Is there any other
unless you lose a round real bad, then it might go 10-8 or like a couple, a couple takedowns or something like that.
That boy got not one takedown that whole fight. He spent the whole 3 rounds trying to take me down, and I think they said his game plan was to hold me against the cage or something like that. But I was like, that's it. And they gave him cage control first round, which I'm like, I guess I sat on the back of the cage a little bit too long, but he wasn't in control. Like, I could have got off there whenever, I was just comfortable. I was doing more damage even against the cage.
Because you're throwing whenever. Yeah, exactly.
And it was crazy, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a great mindset to have. Also, some of the things that you're doing for the community, I'm imagining that this is going to be in Birmingham.
One's going to be in Birmingham. Well, probably 3 of them is going to be in the Birmingham area. One of them is going to be in Demopolis, Alabama.
All right. So what we're talking about here, back to school giveaway coming up soon. What does that mean to you to be able to give back to the communities that help raise you?
It means a lot to me. I just like to help people in general. It's always been something, like I told you last time, it's always been my type of thing, the way my mom and my dad raised me. So it's just how it is, my grandparents, So it's going to be like a book bag giveaway. I'm going to give 100 book bags to 4 different elementary schools with school supplies. So to each school, so that's what I'm going to be doing. With one of my sponsors, Express Employment. So yeah.
Shout out to Express Employment, man, making that happen. And there's some kids who, when they go to school, they don't have the book bags with the pencils and all of those things that cost a lot of money. And then on top of that, that also goes to help the teachers to a certain degree, right? Because the teachers, a lot of the times, people don't realize this unless they're a teacher or they're friends with teachers, have to come out of their own pocket, not like they're big balling out there or anything.
It's not like they don't have to. They're doing it out of the kindness of their hearts.
Right. They don't have to do that.
And they're not getting paid that much to begin with too, and they're like one of those career fields out there that don't get enough love. So definitely help them out every chance you get.
I try to be the best of role model status as I can, I guess, because I said kids see people with a lot of money and think you gotta tote a gun and a few lyrics and stuff. But, it's just like, nah, you ain't gotta do all that,
man. And then also, this is coming from most people, if they're just keeping up with your career, not your persona, the person who you are, they just keep up with your career. It's like, all right, well, he gets in the cage and knocks people's heads off and stuff, and then here you are out here helping these kids continue on, man. I just think so much of you, bro, especially after having you on, because before I was the person who just saw you in the ring. I was like, my goodness, man, that dude is gonna make a name for himself. And then we get you on and we're asking you questions. It's like, my gosh, bro, are you a philosopher or something? Man, it's just pulling the old heartstrings over here.
Gotta flip the switch, huh? When you're in the ring, man, to the animal, and then outside, just an average, cool, kind-hearted person.
How tough is that?
To be here. It's an honor to be here.
How tough is that to flip that switch?
I don't know. It's not. Well, when I'm in the cage and stuff, it's just like, I guess it's all business. Because I'd be nervous. Don't get me wrong. I'm nervous before every fight. If you're not, like I said,
you love it. Yeah,
I love it.
But it's like fight or flight, right? When you're in there, it's like, man, there's only 2 options, right?
Yeah, but when
get your butt whooped or put a whooping on somebody, right?
Yeah, I'm nervous all the way until I get to the. I guess until I get ready to walk out and stuff, I'm just locked in. Sometimes I can't even hear the people. They said people are chanting my name in the crowd, the crowd's chanting my name, and I'm like, sometimes I don't even hear it.
Just
I'm like,
focus.
well, I be that locked in. My coach was like, he's like, yeah, man, you got a habit of like, you take it light in practice, but on game day, you're at your top
and
game
that's
performance.
it, man. It's like game day. It's like all big, like MLB, NFL guys. They don't hear the crowd. They're not seeing everybody, man. They're out there all business. You be out there screaming, "Give me your jersey." Here's a sign of this and that. And you see they don't care, and you probably think like, "Man, dude, I love you, man," and you don't even give me a look, but they're just zoned in. They got a job to do, right?
Yeah, I put it on focus and stuff like that. Like you said, a job to do, like working at the hospital and stuff. I dread getting up at like 2 a.m. Even on PRN, I get to make my own schedule now. But like, I dread getting up. It's just like I got kids. Like I got to do this.
Right.
I'm training. Like I'm gonna make it to the UFC or the PFL. I got to do this.
Yeah.
It's just like, and it's so much. Some people don't have to do it, but I don't want to let my kids down. I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let my family down. I don't want to let me down.
Yeah.
Right on.
I pray. I get up. And I just keep to it, so that's how I do it.
I love it, man. We're talking with Johnny Carter, the third holder of the Gladiator title, the AFL title, and the in the light heavyweight division. Does it slow down for you in the ring? Like compared to practice, I'm sure that you practice at a fast rate. Like does it slow down for you in the ring?
Nah. I mean, like I said, you're just. You're with someone you never fought before sometimes, and it's crazy because some of my opponents I fought, they never had film that I've seen, like they fought.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to find their film because everybody doesn't do good, production like, Gladiators and Impact Promotions, and get the footage out there promoting their fighters and stuff. Shout out to Robert Moriarty,
yes,
shout out
sir.
to Shelby,
That gives them an advantage though in a way, don't it? Because then you kind of don't know.
Yeah, I kind of don't know, but in the same sense, my coaches, they always say stay ready, so you want to get ready.
Right on.
So I like to have a game plan. It's not smart to always go against someone you don't know what you're going against, but. At that point, I don't feel like they're too much. I wouldn't say I'm not going to knock anybody's career, not say they're not high level, but it's just like, you fought for good promotions, good quality promotions. You're going to have some film that I can watch and see. That's how I look at it also.
Real quick, Caveman. The long game, you fight one fight that someone doesn't got film on you or whatever, that's tough. But for the long-term career as being a fighter, fighting for a promotion like Gladiator Promotions, Impact Promotions, Rob Moriarty, Shelby, Boston Tim, the whole gang over there, that's better to have film on you because how's Dana White, how's PFL going to see you without you having some film on you?
Exactly. And then it's just like, I used to be a guy like, oh man, I probably watch my film, but I get better every fight.
Yeah.
You're not going to see the same guy you saw last fight. You're going to see a different guy. Like my cardio, I've been making that a really big thing. I was not tired at all my last fight. Like I was even talking trash at the end of it. Like,
I saw that.
Because coach was like, take him down. Like, he's not going to get a takedown. He won't get a takedown. I was like going crazy.
Right. Well, even without tape, though, usually you'll probably know, though, hey, this guy's a grappler. This guy's looking for a submission hold, right? This guy's a slugger. He likes to like box or whatever. And he likes to swing for the fences. So usually you kind of like know what style, because style makes fights, right?
Yeah, style makes fights, but like usually in there probably like the first 10, 15 seconds, if they're doing anything, you kind of get to see what they're kind of aiming at sometimes.
We've got a question in from Johnny Yankee Seed. He says, ask him if he would rather get signed to a UFC contract off of a fight, or would he like to be signed to fight on the Ultimate Fighter or Dana White's Contender Series to build your brand?
Me, I probably just want that UFC contract, but I don't mind either one because, like I said, either the way I look at it is like free promo,
Yeah.
So, someone's going to see me, whether it's UFC platform or any platform, I'm trying to make it. I want to be in the UFC or the PFL, but I'm not knocking any other top promotion as long as the top tier stage.
PFL's that one on ESPN, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Isn't it?
I've started to. I don't know many of the fighters in there, but I like their layout, like how it looks on the screen, and then they also got like a playoff system and everything. It's a little bit different than the contender rankings, I guess, in the UFC. So that would be. I mean, either one. What about Bellator? Is that like a?
They bought Bellator.
Oh, okay. So that's what Bellator is essentially now.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. It was like 3 of them major ones now, besides like one championship in like Glory Boxing or something like that.
Let me ask you this, since this kind of came up in one of the big UFC bouts just recently. If you were able to get, say, an offer, last minute kind of a thing, few days notice, something like that? Is that something typically you'd be down for, or want to be more prepared when you go up against somebody like that? Say you do get the call from somebody like UFC or whatever to go up and to do something like that.
Something like on the spot, like right now.
Yeah, like 48
short
hours.
term,
Let's say that you got 48 hours to fight.
Like, who was it? Inge the other, like, a couple weeks ago.
Dan Ige.
Yeah, Dan Ige came in and fought Lopez.
That was same day.
Yeah, that was like that was like short notice. But I'm saying like something similar, you know.
I mean, if I was like already transitioned, I was in my pro career and I had a couple pro fights. Yeah, I'd take it because it's opportunity.
Right on.
It's probably give me a chance to network and probably. Maybe I put in my contract, I want to be able to fight here again, but I take this fight for you know what I'm saying? So,
Yes, well, the kind of thing, too, like, I mean, like, if you win, hell yeah, no, like, very little notice, right? Going out there and he got the win. If you lose, too, it's kind of like, well, I mean, he did take that fight very short notice, though, and if you have a good showing, that definitely can give you a good look, too, I bet.
Dre Harris says 48 hours at Connor. Shout out, Dre.
Oh, man, that's my cousin. Shout out to him, man. I love that guy.
Training, obviously, huge to you, huge also to any fighter who's going to be successful in this game. What's on your agenda for training here in the future?
I'm going to be really focused on conditioning, strength and conditioning. I've been training with some pros. One pro I'm ready to train with again would be Cody Durden and not Trishan Gore. Trishan Gore is a great guy too, though.
Yeah,
he's a little rough, but he's a great guy. But Torres Finney, who's also rough, but he's more of a nice rough.
What is the difference in a really rough and a nice rough?
Man, and I got a cousin named Dyron Swain. Shout out to Dyron and Jamal Swain. They both fight with me. Dyron, he's more of a berserker. He's a thriller fighter. Like, he likes to get in there and he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care if you hurt him or whatnot.
Like, we're fighting for the BMF type stuff. Yeah.
Me and I'm the type, and Torres kind of type. Like, we're gonna fight, we're gonna go at it, but we're not gonna, harm, hurt each other till who got fights coming up. Like, those guys can be in camp and they're gonna go all out type deal. And don't get me wrong, Torres is a monster. Don't get me wrong. Like, but he knows how to. I'm not saying they don't know how to IQ. I'm trying to say this without trying to offend anybody.
Right.
It's like Torres is like, he's more, understanding of, what's important. He's not just trying to be the toughest guy ever. Like, even though he's a top-notch guy.
It's like you're driving a car. There's some people who, we might go over the speed limit 5 miles an hour or so, but when we got to get it, we can get it. But then there's other people who it's pedal to the metal all the time.
Yeah, and I've seen some Torres strength and conditioning. It makes, it's some different stuff, man. That guy does a lot of different stuff. And I'm not even sure what Cody Durden and Trayshawn, do for, stuff like that. But it's, like I said, those guys, when you train at pro levels the stuff. I want to increase my technique, work with different things. Because, I can get a little bit wild. But I like to try to tighten up my technique because, if you just got athleticism and, you're kind of, stuff, if you're kind of basic level technique, guys that are up there that, weights on stuff like that, they're going to eat you alive. So you got to have some technique. You got to be able to be disciplined and listen to your coaches and stuff, have a good training camp, be disciplined and stuff. My professor, Pedro, he's something serious, man. He doesn't let me lack at all. Him, Coach Matt, Coach Peter, they stay on me all the time. So,
and we talked about that last time that we had you on. How important is it to have the right people in your corner, literally in your corner?
Very important, man. You got each one of my coaches and my professor will give me the shirt off their backs. That they give their all to me type deal. And it's Peter just had open heart surgery. That was successful.
Shout out to the doctors too, and shout out to the Lord for letting that happen.
Definitely, man. He pushed his surgery back, which I completely disagree with him doing. I was very upset. Everyone else was in the group chat like, yay, and I'm just like, I was ready to slap everybody. I'm like, he should be in the hospital somewhere getting that surgery done.
Right.
So I don't play about health and stuff like that, especially with people I care about and I love.
And you have a background in
medicine,
so it's one of those things, man, and you play with it for too long and you'll deal with the results later.
Is that up in Birmingham too?
Yeah,
UAB?
St. Vincent's, Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
St. Vincent's, Birmingham.
UAB's worked on me and my ex-wife, so it was big ups to that place up there. A lot of knowledge up there, man.
Yeah, my fiance Strand works up there, Alicia. She works at UAB and St. Vincent's now. So, yeah.
Man, another career field that really doesn't get the I don't want to say respect, but just could you imagine a world without what it is that doctors do, what you do, what you know what I mean? Like
nurses
would
and all that kind of stuff.
without
Yeah, no
that
doubt.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm even getting to the point where I don't, people try to get all this extra, I guess, good smelling soap, but I'm real big on antibacterial soap and stuff like that. Real big on that, especially if you're fighting, because, staff sees you're always grappling when people are sweating.
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff,
no doubt.
So I recommend, Dial, antibacterial soap, stuff like that.
So just like bar soap or
bar soap. You can use the body wash you want to,
But
freshen up with any
antibacterial.
type of scents and stuff you want after that. But as far as just to get clean, yeah, I'm not really a big, I guess, hype product fan. I'm just more of like, what's the best.
Just
quality
practical,
type of-
man.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
functionality, yeah, no doubt. So I'm headed to. I think the soap that I got is antibacterial, but I'm gonna just go get Dial right after this.
No, I wouldn't just recommend just Dial, but any antibacterial soap is good.
Yeah,
But
there
that's
you
the one
go.
I've been kind of sticking with.
Yeah, Dial, you ain't paying us nothing. You're off of this dial now. Mental health and time management is a big thing that we talked about last time that you were on with us. You got time for another segment?
Oh, definitely.
All right, it'll be the final segment of the day. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. More with Johnny Carter III when we get back.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for college football and the Auburn Tigers.
He dives! He's in! Touchdown Auburn!
We heard you, Tiger fans. So this season, we're airing every single game. And you can take that to the bank.
Picked off in the end zone!
Plus, the biggest games in the SEC and around the country play here on your official station for college football, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Homes are not all alike. Neither are home buyers. At The First, we understand. That's why we offer all kinds of options for all kinds of home buyers. Whether you're buying your first home or building your forever home, The First has you covered. We offer conventional loans, FHA loans, and USDA loans, as well as VA loans for military veterans, even construction to permanent loans. Ready to take the first step and buy your first home? We're here to help you make it possible. Qualified first-time home buyers may even be eligible for down payment or closing cost assistance. Whatever type of loan you choose, you'll receive prompt personal service from bankers who'll guide you through every step of the process. Don't let a loan stand between you and your dream. Call or visit your nearest The First location for details and get started on the road to your new home today. The First, just the bank for you. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 408229.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
He's so old, he buys his clothes at the same store he buys his groceries.
Are you wearing a grocery bag?
I talk sports in my underwear. I'm gonna wear nothing but a thong and a top hat.
Caveman Rick is part of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. It's our final segment of the week here. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs in the Doghouse on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. First pitch for the Braves tonight right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 6:20. Spencer Schwellenbach going for the Braves. Sonny Gray going for the Cardinals. The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida. Brought to you by Panama City Toyota, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Ellis Agency Insurance, and Best Way Portable Buildings. My dad is up there in New York right now and chilling with my Uncle Ken and Denise and Cade, who's getting ready to play a little baseball, or might already be playing some baseball right now. So shout out to young Cade.
Yeah, they're an hour ahead.
Shout out.
They're an hour ahead, New York.
An
so
hour
yeah,
ahead.
so maybe so they're already playing. You know?
I thought you said they're now ahead. Like, how you got like ESPN updates of Little League Baseball?
I
up
just
there
got
or
the
something?
ESP, man.
The ESP, add the
The clairvoyance.
There you go, clairvoyance. But we've got a great interview going on right now with Johnny Carter III, and he is the Gladiator title holder. He holds the AFL title holder for the light heavyweight division. Also, number 2 in the Daggum Nation and number 1 here in the Southeast. Mental health. Let's just start there. How important is that to you, and what are what's some advice that you could give to some of the listeners? Because that's something that we all have to deal with on an everyday basis.
Yeah, man. My advice, I think it's really important. First of all, most common one I see is probably not gonna make a lot of people happy. Relationships.
Yeah.
Significant others. Whether you're male or female, if you're listening, don't let anyone deter you from your goal, your dream. You're trying to be a fighter. You've invested this much time. If they're not on board, they're not on board. I know consequences may come with that. Easier said than done, but at the end of the day, if you got faith in your creator like I do, everything will work out for the best. Because, even when I was out giving money to homeless people, whether it's drugs or food they're about to go buy, the creator knew my intentions when I gave them what I gave them. So, it's just... But yeah, just don't let anyone deter you, man. People try to tear you down and keep you in a small spot and make you feel small, whether they're supporting you or not, you shouldn't have to wait or beg for anybody to support you. If they're going to support you, it's going to be second nature to them. Like, you take care of them. If you're the kind of person I am, you're going to take care of them. So, second nature. Jobs, my mom, Georgia Allen, shout out to her. Shout out to my father, Timothy Grayson.
Yes, sir.
And my auntie Angela Dollison also. They told me this, something so important. I was between rap and fighting. And, I was getting into a lot of not so good stuff with the rap stuff. They told me to pick one and put the other one on the back burner, and treat my 9 to 5 like a job that's gonna, help me pay for my bills to get to, so I can focus more on my career. Some people may be stuck with warehouse jobs. Some people may be stuck with jobs that are different. But sometimes you might take that far stretch and find something that, is more flexible and cares about it. Cares about, your career, other things you got to do. It's a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more flexible. Because a lot of people, they'd be like, man, I got to go to work. I can't train. And then you'd be so tired mentally from dealing with stuff at home and stuff like that. That stuff will get the best of you too, man.
And then you're right back to like square one, essentially, with dealing with mental health.
Yeah, just like, when someone's cutting weight, like, I can eat this and I'll just burn 3 more pounds tomorrow. Like, you keep telling yourself that and telling yourself that. And then you get into a habit to where you can't even, produce or be the quality of the person you need to be. So it's just like, it doesn't work out, man. So mental health is very important to me. Also with kids, people are dealing with battle with kids and stuff. I recommend if you need to take a break from fighting for a second, not a, like a little hiatus, not a huge break. Take that break and take care of what you need to take care of. Because no sense, and I'm not real big on, it's like going to vacation knowing you have a whole bunch of bills to pay when you get home. You don't have the money for it. You just blow all your money on vacation. You're coming back to problems. You can't focus. Like sometimes, there's been times I couldn't focus in the gym. My coach would be like, telling me a combination to throw and stuff in the gym. We're working on combination. I'm getting hit by a guy who wouldn't touch me on a good day, So it's just like, it does a lot. Mental health plays a lot on a fighter or anybody's career, So if you're listening with your significant other, man, support that, that man or that woman. Like, make sure you're supporting them because, I'm real big on support. I feel like I ain't got the right support. I gotta let you go. I'm sorry. That's just how that goes. And, I say it's easier said than done because, not everybody's the same, but if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. So, hey.
Hey, that's such a great point, and life happens in such funny ways too. You never know. You never know if you do let someone go, what you're gonna get later on down the road, when you're gonna get it, how it's all gonna happen. And a lot of times you look back on it and you're like, well, I hate that I lost that, but what I gained by losing that, what's it? A multiplication by subtraction.
Yeah. It's a lot of times too. The toughest stuff, the best or the right thing to do is the toughest thing to do, the hardest thing to do. So if you can do that, sacrifice a little bit, you're probably gonna be better off.
Yeah.
And another thing that plays a role in mental health and something that is very tough, I would say, even which is wild because we have all of these devices, all of these things to keep track of what it is we got to be doing, when we're going to be doing it, all of that good stuff. But time management plays a role in the stress factors of life. So what's some advice, some tips that you have on that for us?
You know, I have a bad time management thing when it comes to, I wouldn't say, spending much time with my kids. I can.
Right.
Even if it's like 2 or 3 hours more than what you usually give, or like a day more than what you usually give. Like, hey man, clear your schedule. Like, you can say you don't have enough time. You can make time for your kids. I'm sorry. You can make time for your family. It may not be the amount of time you want, but some time would be better than no time at all. And then, with the significant other thing, they may have a problem with, women say, well, you make time for what you want. And it's just like, yeah, you do. But let's just say if I can only make 5 minutes, if I can only make an hour, you wouldn't be pleased with the amount of time, that I would be able to produce or be able to give you. And that plays a problem and stuff too. But, your kids are going to understand, your kids are going to love you. So,
yeah.
Even if some guys, they can take their kids to training and stuff. I've taken my kids to training and stuff. So that's how that goes. I make sure they stay in the sanitary part.
Yeah.
I don't want them getting all dirty and stuff. My coach is Coach Matt Elkins. He's held my son like for a full training session. Shout out to Coach Matt, Professor Pedro, Professor Jacqueline. They'll take good care of my daughter if I train and stuff like that. I got great coaches. Coach Peter, he's gonna watch and play with my little girl, and play with my son if I need him to while I'm training and stuff. But he's still able to coach. That little break is when they can make all the noise they want to during the break, but they're occupied. I got people. I got some good.
And they can see that work ethic, and then they can grow on them.
Yeah, they're big. And they're real big on my mental health and stuff like that. I've been to the gyms times, and they see something wrong with me, and I tell them, oh, nothing's wrong with me, and they know.
And they peep it.
They're talking to me, man. I've broken down and talk to these guys about a lot of stuff, man, and I'm telling you, support. Like I said, just make a schedule. Sit down and actually make a realistic schedule. Cut the partying out, cut the. Sometimes you're not gonna be able to hang out with your friends. I think family is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Second, to my creator, because that's the reason I have a family. You know what I mean? So I just think, big time with family, and then to me, I don't know what it does for everybody else, but to me, it makes me feel better. I've been so depressed and down before, and just seeing my daughter and my son, it makes me feel a lot better. Like, it makes me feel great. I get worn out by them, but, it makes me feel a lot better knowing that, because kids, they're going to love you regardless. They're innocent. They're so innocent. So they're going to love you regardless, man. So,
it reminds you what you're doing it for, too, right?
That's true nature. You don't have to worry about, what's the catch, what they want out of me, or what they're using me for, or what's the catch today.
No ulterior motives, right?
No ulterior motives. It's always just genuine, especially with children. That's why I love children. I love older people, because they don't really too much care about getting over on people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
that's such a good point. So that 18 to 55 demographic, we got to be watching out for. No, that's such a great point, man. And we talked earlier about how important the support system, your coaches, all of that is. Yeah. Well, man, when you have a place that will watch your kids for you while they're training you, your kids are getting trained up in the right way as well. Being in that particular facility, or being around that structure, if you will. One thing that also kind of stands out to me there is just how much of a factor the people who you're around, especially your trainers and stuff, have on your brand. That's what you're building. That's, as a fighter, you're building a brand essentially.
Yeah. I mean, with them, it's just like they know it's all genuine love. I don't care how famous I get, how rich I get. I'm always show support. I don't, I know you can't take everybody with you, it'd be great if I could take people I got. My circle's pretty small.
Yeah.
Right. But, I mean, my coaches and my brand, like my teammates, they get active. It's not just me in my gym that's making noise. I got a lot of teammates that are making noise. I got a lot of, coaches that make noise. Like, I'm just, like I said, me. I have a lot of self-confidence, and I'm, really appreciative of my stuff, but it's just like, I realize I'm just not the one man that runs the show. Anybody could be what I'm being right now, what I'm doing right now. Anybody can be in this position. I'm just blessed enough to be in this position. So it's that type of ordeal, that type of thing. But yeah. And also my daughter, he said something about them seeing the way I train. My daughter does jiu-jitsu. She just turned 4, 22nd of June.
Good time to start, right?
My professors are her professors.
Watch out for young Carter. BC, you got a question back there?
I have a question for the Apex Predator.
Oh, I forgot.
Right.
Bone Crusher Apex. Nice to meet you. But speaking of training with your kids, Caveman Rick incorporates children into his workout because he likes to kick babies.
This is the Caveman Rick. It's a joke that we have on the show.
A little running.
He's like a get off my lawn type guy. So
I got a lot of hot takes and like stuff like that. A lot of dark humor. So one of our
question though.
Yeah, one of our listeners came up with that.
Okay. Martial arts, self-defense. Now, there's a lot of people, if you get on the internet, they'll argue back and forth. What's the best martial art? But my question is, what's the best, easiest martial art for the average person on the street to learn for self-defense, to protect themselves in case they're in a situation? Maybe there's some big drunk guy at the bar that wants to take him down, start a fight. You're not looking for a fight, but you want to defend yourself. What's your thoughts on that, Apex Predator?
Well, first of all, I recommend any type of striking. I'm going to just put that out there. I'm sorry. I know you said one, but I'm just going to recommend definitely any type of basic level striking. But jiu-jitsu, to me, I would think is the most important. The most important self-defense martial arts. It teaches you self-discipline. You can choose to hurt somebody, you can choose not to hurt somebody. Depends on their level of stupidity and what they want to do. Yeah, you can, disengage a situation. Even the policemen are taking it now.
Yeah.
In some states, they take it. You can, disarm a situation. How do I say it? What's the word I'm looking for? Diffuse.
Yeah.
You can diffuse a situation without actually having to strike somebody in the face.
Yeah.
And they'll be asleep and wake up in handcuffs or something, So, yeah.
Nice.
I think jiu-jitsu because, I'm not going to diss any karate, but I just don't think karate is the right type of thing to have your kids in, especially if you're talking about self-defense. Jiu-jitsu, you're around different people. You're around... Especially with Gracie Barra. I'm sorry, I love jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu families are all great. All, jiu-jitsu schools, no diss. But Gracie Barra, one of the best jiu-jitsu gyms ever. Once you get with a jiu-jitsu program and they're legit, you're around people that are family. They will be like family and friends on and off the mats. Those guys are going to come support you wherever you want to be supported at. Those guys are going to sit down and have talks with you. You can go out and have family events. We have family events at the Gracie Barra gym all the time.
Man.
So, it's just, like I said, Professor Pedro, Gracie Barra in Trustville is a 1 out of 10. Shout out to Professor Khalifa. Shout out to Professor Ray Eccles, who got me into Gracie. So, I'm really, really big on jiu-jitsu, man. I'm sorry. I just love it.
I could take a few classes, learn a few moves that'll maybe some submission type stuff.
Yeah, you say a few, but they'll get you hooked on consistency, man. Some people try to stop it, but you'll be consistent with it, man. We got a lot of people that are way older, like in their 50s and stuff, doing jiu-jitsu. We got a jiu-jitsu person called Jiu-Jitsu Grandma's like 60-something doing jiu-jitsu. She's a higher
JJG, baby.
She's a higher built than me. Yeah, she's a higher built than me, seriously. So
wow.
I think jiu-jitsu is like the best martial art to learn as far as self-defense. Nice. Definitely striking, though, just in case you run into someone who's just, is really good with those hands.
Yeah. Hey, that was a great question, great answer as well, Johnny. Real quick here, just to make sure that we get them in, any shout-outs across the board, who you got?
I kind of shout out a couple of them, Robert Moriarty, Shelby Moriarty, my brothers, Timothy, Tamarcus Grayson, Tobias, my brother Tobias, Tydarian Holmes, my cousin Devin Tabb, my cousin Jamal, Swain, Darren Swain, my coach is Matt, Peter, Professor Pedro, my fiance, father-in-law, Michael Johnson, awesome, always supports me, always makes it to my
That's
flights.
awesome.
Awesome guy. My mother, Georgia Allen, my dad, Timothy Grayson, Sr., always answering the phone for me. My grandparents, my auntie Angela.
Got your kids listening?
My fiance, no, my kids aren't listening. No, definitely, but in case people wondering, my kids' names, Kalia and Kyson Carter. That's her names. So, yeah, my two children, my fiance.
Do you know Cron Gracie, Johnny Yankees? He wants to know.
Cron Gracie? I've heard the name as far as, studying and stuff like that, as far as,
Real quick here.
History.
Next fight, do you know when that is yet?
It's going to be either September or December.
We will keep everyone updated on that. Hey, next time you come, I know that I think Jamal Swain sent me a friend request a while back, and I added him.
I want to bring him in down if that would be nice. I'll bring him down.
Hey, open invitation, man.
Definitely,
and if we got other fighters here in the area, man, come on. We love you guys.
And shout out Christian Eccles. I'm so sorry. How the hell did I forget that?
Hey, that's a great way
Christian
to end it.
Eccles, man. I'm so sorry. Like, shout out to you, bro. I love you, bro.
You have a great weekend. Jesus loves you. So do I. Braves up next.
Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
I said I love it, Coach.
Hey,
Y'all are the
record
best.
that. Record that. Yeah. I don't like talking about ourselves, but go ahead and say it one more time.
All right, Coach. We love your show. To be local, and you got a big fan right here.
All right, babe.
Weekday mornings 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.